The party whose mantra is drain the swamp finally voted unanimously on selecting a lizard creature from Louisiana to be Speaker of the House. After narrowly gaining control of the House, they spent a long time trying to select one and not selecting one, and then finally selected one, all in one of the biggest displays of incompetence a party has ever shown. And if that wasn't bad enough, then they fired the guy they elected for doing his job. And this was a first in the history of our country. So then, instead of doing their job and governing and passing a budget so the country can, function, they decided it was time to vote for Homecoming King again, even though Homecoming was 2 fucking years ago. Then they did the whole donkey show all over again that we just feel like we went through with McCarthy. Well, the party was like, hey guys, we don't want to look like idiots. As big of idiots as we did the last time. So let's get behind closed doors and let's just all tell each other who we're gonna vote for. Then we'll pick that guy and we'll go out there and we'll vote for that guy. Just plain and simple. So they did that. And then they didn't do that. They're like, hey, let's all vote for this guy. And then they get out there and they didn't all vote for that guy. So that guy didn't win. And they ended up rejecting people who should have been absolute shoo-ins like Steve Scalise, and people who are better suited for things like prom king than anything in government like Jim Jockstrap Jordan. Which I felt was personally hilarious because every time they voted, Jim Jordan kept losing votes. Which is usually not the way it goes because, you get some votes and then you go out, you rally people, you gain support, you usually get a few more votes in each successive vote. But everybody hates Jim Jordan, and over 3 votes, he lost 25 votes, culminating in a secret ballot vote where only 87 of the 221 Republicans in the House of Representatives voted for him. And since the number dropped so dramatically on the secret ballot, Jim Jordan can now put a hard bottom number on the amount of people who shit talk him behind his back but are nice to his face. And I genuinely hope that helps him get the sleep he deserves at night. So this clown show went on for a couple weeks, and I think it finally started dawning on them that they were looking just a tad incompetent. They're usually a little behind the curve of the rest of us on realizing these things. They're like, what will restore the American public's faith in our ability to govern? Let's make the most inexperienced and unqualified person in over a century Speaker of the House. Honestly, I'm pretty convinced how they chose the new speaker is they just got together and they're like, all right, guys, we're never gonna agree, so let's just do this. Let's write down the most nondescript white dude name we can possibly think of. And chances are, since Congress is a giant bucket of mayonnaise, that dude is a congressman. So they wrote down Mike Johnson, and turns out there's a Mike Johnson congressman. Who knew? Apparently not most of Congress. The dude exudes such Meg Griffin energy that after the vote, even some Republican senators were like, who was that guy? He is so obscure that after the vote, Republican Senator from South Dakota, Mike Rounds, said, and I quote, I don't know him at all. I heard his name for the first time this week. Definitely the kind of name recognition you'd expect from one of the most powerful positions in government and third in line to be president. In fact, when asking some of the Republican colleagues who voted for him why they voted for him when he exuded all of the shitty qualities they were voting against in other candidates, the common theme just seemed to be, I'm just tired. I just don't fucking care anymore. Who knew not doing your job could be so much work? Now, it'll be interesting to see how a man who has the name recognition and experience of a middle school garage band in Nashville is going to do leadership-wise when it comes time to actually lead, guide, and herd the rabbit feral kitty cats of Congress into actually getting anything done. But the fact that seasoned veterans like Steve Scalise and Tom Emmer can't do it, I'm not holding out a ton of hope. But as always, their ineptitude and incompetence is equally as dangerous as if they were competent. And make no mistake, despite the lack of Mike's marquee, he possesses all the headlining qualities of all the big names we love to hate. Just like Mike Pence, he really hates the gays, has expressed his support for overturning gay marriage, and is a big fan of conversion therapy, which, let's be very clear, is not therapy. It's literally torture. He genuinely relishes in the thought of torturing children. He was a big fan of overturning Roe v. Wade, and he supports a federal abortion ban because, fuck states' rights, too. He thinks marijuana is a gateway drug. It's the devil's lettuce, and he supports a federal ban of that to stay in place as well. But to be fair, decriminalizing marijuana makes it a lot harder to send brown kids to prison to act as slave labor for our corporate overlords. So, he doesn't believe in climate change, at all. Not even like those asshats where it's real, but people don't cause it. It's just natural. No, he's like, nope, everything's the same. Nothing's happening. Everything's fine. He also keeps a handkerchief in his pocket because he has to wipe the orange spray tan off of his lips on a regular basis, because he's a 2020 election results denier as well and voted to not certify the election. And to top it all off, he's got some really strong ties to a ton of Christian nationalist groups, which comes as an absolute surprise to no one ever, because he's really just a Republican Build-A-Bear at this point. Which made Elise Stefanik's nominating speech all the more ironic when she called Johnson a friend to all and an enemy to none, when he spent his entire career being nothing but an enemy to everybody who's not a straight, white, flabby Christian conservative dude. Anyway, now we're back all along for the ride again on this rickety, termite-infested wooden roller coaster that's piloted by some idiot nobody's ever heard of before. And the very first order of business is passing the budget that got the last dude fired. So this should go swimmingly. Put your hands up, enjoy the ride, hope we don't fall off the rails, and remember this shit come November. Because the people who held up the game because they couldn't pick a team captain, and then stopped in the middle of the game because they wanted to change their team captain, and then held it up some more because again they couldn't pick a new team captain, and then finally they just looked around and they're like, that guy. Maybe those people need to be sent back to the little leagues for a little while, because if you can't manage the people on your own fucking team, you certainly have no business governing the most powerful country on the planet.